A major announcement for WWE, plus a major announcement for NWA and Women's of Wrestling, new TV deal. Super excited about that and what that could also mean in the future for professional wrestling, because finally another company is willing to take the risk. And we got to talk about the controversial name change. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ango Show. Okay, if you guys watched SmackDown, then you know there was a name change, and I need to talk about it. But first, if you guys want more videos like this, go ahead and click subscribe. This way you never miss a video. Trust me, you don't want to miss anything. We're always talking about things in pro wrestling. Let's talk about it. Jeff Cobb is now known as JC Mateo, and I'll be honest with you guys. I probably should have saw this coming, because the other day the news came out that the name was being trademarked, and for whatever reason, I did not think to put two and two together, but that's Jeff Cobb's new name. I don't know, maybe the reveal was pretty bad. Solo Sikoa comes out and he says JC. He doesn't even say the last name Mateo, right? He just says JC. Obviously, throughout the night, then you hear commentary call him JC Mateo. He's introduced as JC Mateo. I know some people are not going to agree with me on this. Like, for example, I have a very tough time with name changes, because for some talent, having a name change like really isn't that big of a deal, right? Ricky Starks went from Starks to Saints, not that big of a deal, you know, but Jade Cargill got to keep her name, right? Ray Phoenix and Penta, obviously Ray Phoenix kept his name. Penta, we all knew. It's not that big of a, like, it's not a massive name change, right? For me, the way it is with WWE and the way that they do these name changes, I understand why they do them. But Jeff Cobb is 42 years old, has been wrestling for a very long time. He is known as Jeff Cobb. That's how people know him. The reason why he got a pop when he even debuted is because people know who he is. Why did this company change his name? And here's the thing, like, Tamatonga, Tongaloa got to keep their names. It just didn't make sense to me why WWE applies it to certain talent and then other talent they change it. That's what's confusing to me. Like, I don't get the perspective of it's, you know, WWE wants to own the intellectual properties, and maybe some people are willing to sell it to them, you know, to give WWE ownership of them. We've heard of situations, you know, where this happens. But to me, the name change just doesn't sit well with me. You want to call Jeff Cobb JC, that's cool, right? Like, that's not a big deal. You want to call him JC Mateo, I think it's pretty ridiculous. And I think it's even more ridiculous because when he debuted, it was known as Jeff Cobb. So why even do the change? All right, ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Central is here. I'm excited about this. Maybe this is nothing, right? Maybe this is not a big deal to them, to those watching this, but I think this is a huge ordeal. Paramount Global Content Distribution is launching a new channel with Roku called Wrestling Central, and part of this announcement includes the National Wrestling Alliance and Women's of Wrestling. Now, this announcement came out from Paramount. They're launching an all-wrestling fast channel called Wrestling Central coming soon to the Roku channel, which means that this will be entirely free. However, it will be supported by ads. Essentially, the way that this is going to work is Women's of Wrestling and NWA will both have an extensive library that is uploaded. They're going to have classic episodes, never before seen matches, specials, and documentaries. Now, this is huge for a variety of reasons, and this is largely due to the fact that if you want pro wrestling to have a future, you got to have the big networks be willing to work with wrestling companies. For example, Paramount kind of struggles with getting streams, and, you know, maybe they're not the most overly successful compared to Netflix or HBO or Hulu, right? Like Disney. Like, there's so many different players in the market. But the more players in the market willing to invest in professional wrestling is a good sign. Now, does this mean NWA will put all of their upcoming events on here? We don't know. We don't know what kind of content they'll be uploading. We don't know if NWA Power will be on this channel. We don't know at all what is going to come from this. But it's a clear sign that Paramount and Roku are willing to invest in professional wrestling. And at a time where we often talk about MLW or TNA or some of these other companies wanting them to get a bigger TV deal, I think this is relatively huge. So I'm excited about this for a variety of reasons. There's two things I really want to say though. Women's of wrestling and NWA are relatively smaller, but they do have a really big impact on professional wrestling. You know, if you want to talk about LA Knight in WWE, like, yes, we've seen him in NXT long time ago. Yes, we've seen him in TNA, but he went to NWA and kind of had like a resurgence there, right? So like there's talent that come from NWA or Women's of Wrestling. Nikita Lyons, somebody who's in NXT, came from Women's of Wrestling. So the beautiful part of this is that we can watch this stuff for free and you might find the next big star, right? So I like that for that kind of reason. You don't know, maybe they end up in AEW or WWE or TNA, but it's a great way to watch. And the fact that it's completely free is really nice because that way you don't have an actual financial investment into that, which I think is a very nice thing. And that brings us to WWE and WWE 2K26. Now, I know everybody thinks it's a sure thing that every year a new WWE video game is coming out. We also thought the same thing with AEW Fight Forever, and that hasn't actually been the case. However, the Take-Two earnings call just took place, and they have confirmed that the development of WWE 2K26 is officially underway. However, there was two big announcements with this. So not only is WWE 2K26 expected to come out next year, 2026, probably around the time of WrestleMania or prior to WrestleMania, very similar to how they did it last year and this year. However, they also confirmed WWE 2K Mobile is coming this year in the fall of 2025. However, WWE 2K25 Mobile, it's not going to be a game that's like through the iOS App Store or Android App Store. The difference is it is through partnership with Netflix. So as long as you have Netflix games on your phones or tablets or whatever it may be, you'll have the ability to play WWE 2K Mobile. Now, that's a really big deal because mobile gaming is a very big deal. It's a very big market. And for Netflix to have WWE 2K, I think that's huge. We have not seen a partnership like this where Netflix is not only taking WWE on board for the content, right? But they're also taking them on board for the video games aspect and publishing. Is this the future of Netflix games where a lot of other companies will say, hey, we're going to bring our game to Netflix games, and then you'll have the ability to play on your phone or tablet with a controller or whatever, but also like not only WWE, right? Like Grand Theft Auto, it's on there, but like there's other games and then maybe other TV shows, right? That could bring their games to Netflix. Maybe this kind of pushes away publishers and app stores, and then Netflix gets to the point where they're also a hub for games. And who knows what that looks like, because the future of video games could in fact be cloud gaming. So huge thing for WWE. I mean, essentially they're going to be everywhere with this deal. I'm excited to see kind of what happens. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below.